ended up throwing a couple of those. And Captain Flowers, what you scratching at?
Well, if we're talking about mid lane, if we're talking about having some respect for Quad, we are respecting the dog here in the bans. The Nasus ban alongside the Ezreal at Senna for C9 to kick things off. FlyQuest targeting Jojo as well with the Zira and Yone bans alongside the Rumble.
We have a lot of Showmaker fans here, okay? Yeah. So they know, and they've been scouting your solo queue, Mr. Quad, so they banned the Nasus away, and they just pick up the Tier 1 Turbo Farm jungler everybody loves, a Lillia.
It is really interesting to see how many teams have either been ignoring Senna or banning it on blue side, though, because this champion, I feel like, is so strong right now, but not everyone is willing to play it.
It doesn't feel that much like a Berserker Vulcan champion to me, I guess, is my big problem with it for C9. Like, you know, if you leave it up on blue side, I just don't see that being the duo that really wants to take this. I mean, hey, you've described the new Senna as Soraka with a gun? Yeah. So maybe
that sounds so cool to me, though.
Soraka with a gun, baby.
That sounds so cool to me. Bang, bang, you're healed now.
Bang, bang.
Bang, bang, you're alive.
Not dead.
Now, FlyQuest, though, they lock in some very strong lane picks here. Okay. You can already tell what they're going for. And this is kind of something that we saw last time they played Cloud9, where people are used to FlyQuest, much more scaling, much more team fight later, but they actually invested a lot of draft resources in strong lanes. Ashe, incredibly strong early lane for bottom lane, no matter what support you put it with, and Renekton, very similar there.
And it's going to be really interesting because there has been a lot of talk about how FlyQuest is live by the Bwipo, die by the Bwipo. You know, he is going to be this guy who's playing hyper aggressive, who's kind of making the game about him for better or for worse. When he's ahead, he can often really take over, but when he's behind, he can sometimes solo lose a game.
Speaking of living and dying by things, we had a nice crabber sign there that they just showed full screen. Blaber's crabbers as well. Definitely going to be easy for Lillia to always at least pick up one of those, but we have the Ivern lock in for the other side here for Inspired. These are our two best junglers in the league, at least as voted on for the All-Pros. You know,
Team Liquid has some things to say about that.
I voted for Umpty yesterday, but as a player of the series. But these two junglers are absolute stars in the league, and it's very interesting to see Inspired going for the Ivern here, since he is known as the CEO of Full Clear, and Blaber is like the other CEO, I guess.
The CFO.
The CFO.
They're the CFO there under him. But Ivern has an insanely fast first clear, but after that will drop a lot of camps compared to other junglers. Ivern doesn't necessarily need as much gold because you're building support items, but it's definitely not one of those CEO repeat full clear type of champs.
Also, just fun little throwaway stat. This is the first Nasus ban in the LCS since summer 2013.
What? I guarantee that was against Zion Spartan. That was a Darshan ban. I almost guarantee
even his
that.
teacher calls him Zion Spartan.
Dude, I was still in college the last time Nasus got banned.
Curse. Wow, against Curse.
I wonder if
Curse was around the last time Nasus got banned.
Boy was definitely cooking. So
was he top lane at that point? Because he was top and then he went mid.
I mean, he cooked so hard, like they would play that mid probably. I don't know. That is a long time ago.
Yeah.
That is back in the days where, you know, we had GG playing Ashe mid and stuff too.
Yeah.
So anyway,
back when his name was GG.
Oh, we'd alt mid and then you TP and try to kill the person.
Back to reality, though, boys.
All right, time machine done, time capsule reburied. It's Braum and Orianna banned out by C9, with Ziggs and Jhin being banned out by FlyQuest. They will now lock in the Smolder for themselves. Whenever I see a team pick Ivern, I like to see them have two marksmen with it because he synergizes so well with them. And Smolder has become an absolute menace in the mid lane.
It also does feel like FlyQuest is a little bit light on hard engage. Yes, you have the Ashe arrow, but you are looking for some sort of hard engage support to actually pair alongside this, very likely. You know, Braum obviously is really good. That's been banned out with the double marksman, but I do think FlyQuest needs some sort of engage. Otherwise, you get like one Mikhail's, one type of thing like that, and you can kind of totally answer their only real way into the fight.
Well, we've got Busio, thankfully, for that here for FlyQuest.
Main support, just what you need.
Perfect. That's what you're thinking, right? Like a flash condemn.
A flash condemn, exactly.
There you go. That is the best engage you can think of. Well, they're going to go with the second best option. Sorry, Azael. It is the Alistar instead into the Leona MF combo. I love this combo. Ivern, definitely one of the susceptibilities is that you get bursted in these AoE combos, you can't get your shields out, and you are in fact squishy if they can land like a Leona ult, if Ksante is getting in there. It also sets up pretty nicely with Lillia. There's a cool interaction with Sleeps and Misfortune Ultimate. If Lillia is going to be able to put him to sleep, then you just blast him over the top with the Misfortune Ultimate. So there's a lot of wombo combos here for Cloud9.
That's one of those combos that always gets talked about every time it gets drafted and never gets seen. I feel like it never, ever, ever
but then the one time it happens, it's going to be really good payoff. It's going to be good payoff, okay?
I will also say there's not that many easy ways to stop the MF ult. Like, yes, there is Alistar combo, but if Alistar starts out a fight,
Busio, they've both been big generators for action on their squads, and both squads are subscribed to that same philosophy here in game number 1. Speaking of philosophies, I ran into Busio and Bwipo backstage just before the series today. I asked them if they were ready for this, if this was going to be the revenge tour for the last time these teams met. Busio said absolutely. Bwipo said, well, we've done a lot of prep. If our prep is good, we will win. If it's not, we suck. That was direct quote.
All right. If prep good, win. Got it. All right. Well, we did have their duo lane go up topside. As you can see, they are up topside and looking for the lane swap here. Blabbers, Crabbers are ready to take to action in chat.
I love lane swaps.
This is interesting. I mean, FlyQuest obviously trying to hide the fact that it is a lane swap. We did see some evolutions to lane swap over the last couple of weeks. We had Core even, farming a wave as a Nautilus support yesterday.
Yeah.
We had, the day before, some situations where the support was actually just full leashing and taking the traditional role of the top laner, and the top laner was laning 2v2 with the AD top to get more XP. So we are seeing some different iterations of it. And for now, Thanatos doesn't know that it is a lane swap. He's probably going to get the news now, but Renekton is still up there. And yeah, Thanatos obviously suspicious. The bot lane hasn't shown down bot. So now the question is, can Bwipo get anything done here, or is he going to leech a little XP? Looks like he realized, okay, the jig is up. So he's likely to go harass enemy jungler, look for a gank mid, or something like that.
And actually, he's going to go over a ward as he goes mid. So if Jojo loses anything here, then it will be hilarious. But Bwipo did pass over that ward in the river.
Not if you're his team.
Also, it's pretty much impossible to lose anything to level 1 Renekton.
He can slice on you in auto attack.
He also emoted right there.
What does he do?
Gave it a little bit away.
There it was, yeah. Slice.
I mean, it's basically -1 potion. It looks really funny, but it's basically -1 potion, right? He did about 150 damage to him. He had a slice dice, and I think 1 auto. So it's not a terrible amount of damage. In a close lane, it sometimes can make a difference, but it's also like, what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
You don't have any other job, so he just doesn't get down here for the crashing wave. He's down there, and now Quad's going aggressive.
Yeah, Quad immediately just trying to push Jojo further and further back, taking advantage of that incredible Renekton pressure. As bottom side, Bwipo's turret is going to start losing a lot of plates. They'll want to hit level 2 here, as Vulcan takes a single turret shot and then gets back away.
So it's interesting. Look at what FlyQuest are doing. Because they have no vision on the Lillia, they have kept Ivern here. Inspired did not go to collect his channeled camps on the other side. So Red Quadrant is still fully channeled, not picked up, and he's waiting for his Gromp, waiting on this blue side because they did not have any vision on Lillia and were unsure if Blaber was going to skip camps to go for the actual dive on the Renekton or if he was full clearing. Benefits for Cloud9, he was full clearing, was not stopping on camps to come over, and so they actually get a little bit of time advantage there. Now Inspired can go back to his red side and pick up the channeled camps, as well as the top side scuttle, since he still has his smite.
So these lane assignments have been pretty interesting from FlyQuest. Obviously, Busio early base came back down bot to cover Bwipo as well, alongside Inspired. Massu pushed out top, and then Bwipo base and TP's back top, so they're just making the swap down towards bottom. We can see Vulcan is basing now, so I'm going to be interested to see where he goes out on the map, because Busio is sitting here holding this wave. Are they going to return back down to bot? And it looks like no. Vulcan's actually heading up towards top right now, alongside Blaber, so both teams being pretty active on the map. And I'll be interested to see when Berserker bases, if he's going to go top and they're going to TP Thanatos bot to catch that wave.
And so there's two things that FlyQuest kind of lost out on in this lane swap. It was a tiny bit of top lane experience advantage, but mainly it is actually jungle camp timers being way later now for Inspired on his red quadrant, since he was much more delayed on actually going to collect those and get them to respawning. So the respawn timers are going to be a little bit desynced there, as well as the extra money on bottom side with 2 turret plates were the price on the bottom side tower that they actually had to pay.
Flash for flash here in mid lane as Vulcans roam up towards that Jojo versus Quad matchup, forces the Smolder flash. Yeah, they're not going to get any damage out of it, but they'll be happy to make that enemy mid laner more vulnerable, see if they can make a return trip sometime soon. Busio versus Vulcan is exactly what you would expect from support versus support. Not really a whole lot there, no matter how many abilities get landed. Inspired's going to take the chance to move into the enemy jungle here for a little bit. He's standing right on top of a ward. But let's see if they can find a nice collapse here. Jojo rotating down to him. Blaber's made his way in. Quad's also still looking to follow Jojo, turn this into a 2v2 if that's what Cloud9 wants. But Busio's ready to rotate up now as well, and they'll see the Alistar making his entry. So, again, it's just about the chicken camp, and that is secured for Blaber.
And this has just been so good for Cloud9. They keep on winning out here, and a lot of it is jungle efficiency. As long as Jojo doesn't give up anything meaningful here, a little bit of chunk damage, that's about it. I mean, they had full vision of the Alistar. Blaber, again, was on the speed clear with Lillia. You are going to just rocket ahead of an Ivern in clear speed here. Ivern is not able to go up and contest camps when people are nearby to touch him. If you touch him, he's not going to be able to get his channels off, not going to be able to steal away anything. And Blaber's pace here is very nice on the Lillia. Faded Ashe is all ready. And so now Ivern is actually going to collect the delayed respawn on his red quadrant. We will see about the Void Grubs as well, since I believe Bwipo on the top side should have the lane pushing for himself. And with Cloud9 taking Dragon, you really want to be able to take those Void Grubs, even though Ivern is very, very slow at them. Definitely not a great Void Grub taker.
Yeah, he actually hasn't taken any just yet. He just took the Scuttle, and it was going to be pretty hard for C9 to contest that because Quad had the earlier base, so he was back to lane. Bwipo had pushed tops. They had double pushed in solo lanes. But because they've actually delayed it this much, Blaber now going to potentially invade, try to take away some camps, or maybe even look for some sort of a dive angle. Looking like he is going to meet Inspired at the Wolves.
This is a Wolf camp that is channeled too, so as long as Inspired's able to get in range, chases him off. Blaber knows there's no way he's going to be able to finish those. All you have to do then is touch them as Ivern, and we'll go to the other side. Meanwhile, Bwipo actually went to go proxy in top lane, since they did not opt to use his top lane pressure for Void Grubs. So he gets a wave there, proxying, and we'll get an earlier recall.
Look at Blaber, though, right back in onto the blue. He's going to re-invade as Inspired went to go pick up his Krugs on top side that he'd already channeled on, and now they're going to catch Massu on the way back.
Oh, Cloud9 has made the move. Massu has to flash away, but the flash follow coming in from Blaber here with the blooming blows. There's the interaction, the bullet time, and the sleep. It's first blood with a side of support for C9, 2-0.
I got it. We got the sleep time right there. The sleepy time. Finally. That's why we always set it up so you can get the payoff. The bullet time is coded like as damage over time. It's very contrary to what you would think, since it's waves of bullets. But the waves of bullets are not hitting you. It's damage over time.
Well, Blaber now has to be careful, trying to get away from this one. Mom roars in, and Blaber dies before he can hit him with the Eep. Quad survives with 100 health, and Inspired is still chasing after Jojo. FlyQuest doing a good job here, getting something back. The punish on Blaber after he had used the flash back in the bottom lane. Jojo at 200 HP. Daisy's still being annoying, but not annoying enough to really put a threat on his life. So 1 kill back for FlyQuest, but it's still a 1,000 gold lead here for C9.
It is nice to grab that kill, though, slow down the tempo of Blaber a little bit, because he was getting a bit out of control here, and you didn't want him to be able to run over to Grubs and get that. Also, here it is one more time. They force the cleanse, immediate ignite, the flash forward, double Q, there's the sleep, and then the ulti, Berserker positions, sets it over the top. The ulti tried to come out there from Massu to find some sort of an interrupt on that follow-up, but it wasn't really able to do anything.
Nice, good shit. Ashe both sounds better. Ivern top side. Good calls, okay. It's fucking insane. Ivern top. Here.
Vulcan timing sums as well here. But yeah, I mean, Blaber actually was pulled off the blue buff to go for that play too, so didn't get the blue buff before going for it, and now Inspired goes in and yoinks his red.
This is a tale of jungle thievery, Kobe. Everybody's just trying to get away with getting more buffs than they are normally allocated, as Inspired will take that one and head back into the safety of the river. Blaber is now going to enter into his bottom side jungle. Yes, he will find his chickens and Krugs ready to go, but that red stolen away is the big prize.
It's so interesting to see how delayed Grubs have been, just because there's been so much action on the bottom side, and because of all of these invades. It's so atypical in a pro game to not have Grubs taken on spawn, especially with a champion like Lillia in the game, who really excels at taking them.
I kind of like Cloud9's bot side focus though, and the Blaber pathing of full clears down towards the bottom side repeatedly here. Let's see what he can do, because now he's got his other component for his Leandries, and as soon as you're able to combine that, then Cloud9 really get to push things forward. Looks like Vulcan gonna take his opportunity right now to push things forward, and they go for another repeat invade, but they actually don't go all the way up to Wolves here. So Blaber does not go to the fully channeled Wolves, just resets instead.
And since we've just now crossed the 10-minute point, this is really important, even on what you were talking about with the Grubs, Isaac. The Grubs respawn 4 minutes after you kill the first pot. That can't happen if the clock is past 14. Yep. It has to be the Herald. So we cannot hit enough Grubs to spawn Grub babies this time, one way or the other. Yeah,
absolutely. I do think that we're going to see Blaber go up towards them now, because he did finish the Leandries, so he has that big one-item power spike. Even if you can't get the spawns, it's still good experience. You know, it's still nice to have that little bit of extra damage onto those turrets. So it's going to take the opportunity to get 3, but I can't remember a single LCS game this split where we didn't actually get both sets of Grubs taken.
Yeah, we definitely have. I definitely, there were a couple, but like you're saying, Flowers,
so
right now, he has no camps up, and this is basically just a supercharged camp.
Big camp.
Yeah, the golden experience in those things is definitely worthwhile. Even if you don't get the little Void Might spawns later on, still get some nice little bit of true damage.
Yeah, okay.
And some nice little bonuses, since they are desynced with the Dragon very nicely here, and so now Blaber can either look for Renekton or go for another full clear, as his full camps are respawning now.
Well, we do have a 1,500 gold lead, plus both of the early neutral objectives here for C9. So they're off to a very nice early game thus far. 10 seconds until our next Dragon spawns. And Jojo's putting the pressure on Quad back here in the mid lane. Checking in on Smolder stacks, it's 92 for Quad at 11.5 minutes. So doing all right, but not crazy pacing.
And if we look at the possibility of another Dragon fight, as you see Vulcan kind of waiting in the brush here around Jojo, so Jojo goes for an aggressive trade. The key things you're looking at are first item completions and teleports for top laner. So Cloud9 are kind of primed here, with Misfortune having a full Bloodthirster, whereas Massu on Ashe, not only is he behind, didn't get the early turret plate money, but also went for the upgraded Berserker Greaves, so he's not going to be anywhere close to a first item Ashe, even though you think of Ashe with the arrow being really good for actually starting out one of those fights. Cloud9 just have really nice single item power spikes here, so they started out and they're burning it down currently, but Busio may be looking for something here. Inspired does have his redemption.
Okay, C9's got this down to 2,000 HP. Bowling Ball misses. Busio's still staying as far forward in this tri-brush as he can, but there's just no luck there. That's just going to be another Dragon claim by C9.
Yeah, I think that's just correct. It's like you're kind of outmatched right now. You're facing the fully Leandries and the full Bloodthirster here, so definitely back off, as they also had vision control.
And Quad wasn't even there, so it would have been 3v4 if they tried to go in. I think it would have been Death Sentence. But that is 2 very fast Dragons for Cloud9. You know, only 12 minutes in. They've already got 2, so do have to worry about a potential soul. It is unlucky for Cloud9, a Chemtech soul that is going to be spawning up. So not one of the ideal ones, but still can be pretty worthwhile.
I mean, you've got Ksante, who kind of puts himself at half health by ulting anyway.
That's fair.
So you're always going to find like some value out of that, I feel like. Bwipo versus Thanatos, though, has been pretty much what you would expect out of Renekton versus Ksante. It equalizes pretty well, unless the Renekton gives Ksante an angle for one of those big, like, multiple knockbacks underneath the turrets. So.
And it's going to be really interesting, because we actually saw the quote, you know, from Bwipo talking about Thanatos versus, yeah, he has a really good laning phase, but he doesn't really know what to do out of lane, basically. You know, that's where he struggles. He struggles in the macro and the team fighting. And so this lane has gone very even. So if Bwipo's right in that regard, you know, he should be the one that has the advantage from this situation. We also heard, you know, from both Jojo and Inspired, their interview, and it was kind of interesting hearing their opinions on it, right? On like where the teams would be successful. Jojo saying that he thought if it was a slow game, that it really favors Cloud9, and he felt that Inspired, you know, and FlyQuest really succeed more in these chaotic situations, which we definitely do not have in game number 1.
Yeah, Cloud9's team fighting is one thing that has been consistent in, I feel like, the majority of their games. They have been really, really good at dissecting a lot of these team fights, and since they are now heading into a very stable mid game to be able to do that from, it just seems like game number 1 has really gone the way that Cloud9 envisioned straight from Champ Select all the way till now. You know, you've got your Lillia really controlling a lot of the jungle and neutral objectives here. He's gotten every single neutral objective that anyone has gotten in this game so far. And that's generally what you want as Lillia versus Ivern. So, plus they have quite good scaling options for themselves later on too. So we'll see. Even though you are going into an Ivern later, and sometimes those team fights do get annoying with the healing and shielding and double AD carries, I guess mainly the thing Cloud9 will now keep in mind is we got to pay attention to Quid and Quid stacks on the Smolder. If the Smolder got out of control, excuse me, Quad. That's the first time. That's the first time it happened to me. But Quad, Quid was also a good Smolder, so
True.
They're not allowed to play the same
like
champ.
that. They'll get you.
But he's at he passed the 125 points, so we'll see.
Not too bad. And when you are mid lane, sometimes you can pick up those side lane jungle camps and stuff. But last time these two teams did meet, it was actually early games that went the way of FlyQuest, and it was still Cloud9 that came out on top through that team fighting that you're talking about, Kobe. You know, some really big performances in particular from Jojo and Berserker in that one, really showing up in those 5v5s. So now Cloud9 in a more comfortable position, especially now nearly 3,000 gold in the advantage. They still have Herald in pocket. They can use that to set up for this next dragon, which would put them at Soul Point. I do think that at some time soon, FlyQuest kind of have to disrupt the status quo. They can't just allow this game to keep going the way it's going. Sure, you can say, we have Smolder, we're scaling, but Smolder is not like early Smolder. You know, yes, the true damage execute is good, but the execute itself doesn't scale up. It's just the burn damage scales up, so it always stays at that really low percentage. So I do think they have to disrupt this third dragon, or I'm going to be pretty concerned for their chances in this game.
And guess who the counterpart to the Smolder is who's scaling? Is the Corki. And
I think Corki scales better.
Corki is insane. So yeah, FlyQuest, I think you really need to make use of your Ashe arrow if you're going to make use of anything at the moment. To get one of those picks on somebody who is rotating through, you know, got to set up some vision here. Busio is on the Alistar that can have some flank angles. So FlyQuest, I definitely agree. They're probably going to have to set up some sort of Ashe arrow play fairly shortly before Cloud9 just become too powerful as a group, because they're already really taking away these outer towers. Bottom outer tower is already dead, and they've rotated Berserker up to topside to finish up this topside one too.
Bwipo eating a lot of damage here as the bullet time heads towards him, but a redemption from Inspired's going to guarantee Bwipo can walk away. The turret, though, does not stay standing. C9
mid lane
gold
next.
grows to over 3,000. The Herald will charge into the mid lane tier 1. The charge is enough to kill it all alone. 3,500 gold lead for Cloud9. 17 minutes into the game. FlyQuest is starting to bleed.
And if you remember back to the beginning of the season, and even some of the mid-season games for Cloud9, people would criticize them for not being stable enough once they got leads. They were like, oh yeah, you're first in the league for early game, of course, but you just smash lanes and then you kind of throw later, right? They are so step-by-step objective focused in the last few series that we've seen from them. They have really fallen into line, it feels like. Maybe Reaper got a little strict with the objective focus, but they have really gone by the book and have focused every single one down in order. You know, stack your dragons, get your outer turrets down, move into the jungle now, take over jungle vision, and it just feels so much more methodical here for C9. And after hearing the interview at the beginning of this game, when you were talking about Jojo and Inspired there, I agree with the Jojo side, where he was like, yeah, we'll just keep it stable, and I think we have a huge advantage, certainly in this game, with this setup they do.
Well, and I think it's exemplified by the full season records for these teams. You know, you can talk about consistency. Well, Cloud9 only lost 3 games, you know, this whole split long. They have been very consistent. Cloud9 has only lost to 3. FlyQuest has lost to 7, obviously have dropped a lot more. And I do think C9, despite some of those kind of talks about, oh, maybe they're throwing some of these games or being a little bit silly in some situations, Thanatos had made a mistake here or there, they've been good.
Okay, Bwipo threatening the potential posture from a dive here, but it ain't gonna work out. Thanatos shows up to protect Jojo. Daisy left behind here, just going to eat a couple of more bullets. 50 gold over to Jojo on that one. FlyQuest tried to overload, go for a push, try to snag this tier 1 when Cloud9 wasn't looking, but Cloud9 responds in time to still keep it standing. FlyQuest have not claimed a single objective this game. C9 has 3 turrets, 3 grubs, Rift Herald, 3 dragons.
Yeah.
Where's the... Nothing but donuts over here for
FlyQuest.
FlyQuest.
Flowers.
Yeah, FlyQuest has just struggled to have any sort of an impact on the Rift. And Azael, you already mentioned it. You know, Cloud9 has been stacking these early Drakes. They're on Soul Point now. We are running out of time for FlyQuest to continue conceding things. They must step up and fight.
And that's what really makes you nervous in a game like this, is when you wait to Soul Point, you don't get a gimme, you don't get a mistake anymore. One pick, one miss smite, you know, one mistake in a team fight means they get soul and they can take a stranglehold on this game. It's already a 4,000 gold lead. You add in a good 4,000 gold in stats generally is what people say for a soul. You know, that puts it pretty far out of reach. So we'll see if FlyQuest are going to find that proper setup, if they're going to be first to the dragon and be able to set something up.
Well, they do have their 2-item core here for Quad. He does have his Muramana transformed, and you're going to have to like pray to the Ivern gods that you can actually keep a team fight up. But more and more objectives the way of C9.
Quad's not going to get to 225 though, so it's not really even that threatening. Like, great, he has 2 items, but he still has quite a few stacks to go. I mean, maybe if they give him the jungle camps and they let him bounce between waves and give him all the stacks, he could get it. I really think they should be donating everything into this dragon.
Absolutely. I think as long as you, because it's 192, so you need another 33 stacks in order to hit the threshold. You've got slightly under 3 minutes to do it. I think it's doable, but everybody needs to get on the Quad train.
I mean, he is your only hope. That should literally be the only train in the station.
Okay. All the other trains are gone.
Yeah, everybody else is like trying to create space and create room for Quad to carry. Even Ashe, who is the other carry on the team, is a lot about setting it up and creating space for him. So. Yeah.
Which is why it was interesting, because he went mid and they took the wave before he actually got there. He goes top, he gets a couple more stacks. He got, I think, 7 or so from that top lane, the waves that were stacked up there. But definitely could use some jungle camp, something, just make sure he's able to get it. Does still have 2 minutes, so you know, if they really wanted him to get it, he probably will. But it is a concern because 225 is no guarantee. I think it just gives him a bit of a chance.
I can already see the comments of do nothing and lose if the game continues to go this way, because we are only 2 minutes away from Dragon Soul, fellas.
5,000 gold lead for C9 plus the extra stats in those 3 normal dragons they've already claimed. This is going to be a serious challenge for FlyQuest. You can see that bottom side of the map right now. Like, there is not a single bit of vision down there for either side around this Drake pit just yet. Usually we see teams start to prep for it between 1 and 2 minutes out, so I expect the next big rotation we're going to see is down towards that area.
Big objective bounty, woo!
Okay, FlyQuest claimed their first objective of the game, with the tier 1 turret getting knocked down there in the bot side by Bwipo. That'll at least remove another nearby point of safety if a dragon fight does happen, if it does go crazy. That dragon fight is now just 75 seconds away. C9 gold lead still at about 4,000. Talking about item completions, 2 full items done for everybody on C9, including the Leona having the Warmogs completed alongside the support item. Over on the other side, though, it's a very similar story in almost all roles, thanks to Ivern buying thrift store support stuff.
and this is the critical like item evaluation of the entire game, right? This is the one right before the dragon fight.
Yeah.
We are only 50 seconds away, and Dragon Soul will arrive on the map, and so this is FlyQuest time. They have been building for 23 minutes here for this moment.
Oh, they're looking maybe for a pick towards Jojo. 3 members are going top towards Jojo. He gets the information, is going to back off. Quad now will take over to 225 on this wave. So is going to have it just in time. He has the TP, so he can get down there, no problem. So they have that true damage burn active. They gave him the Krugs to make sure he could get there, and they're able to do it.
Very, very important that he crosses that threshold. Honestly, it's a really good situation for FlyQuest with the 80 carry itemization, considering the Ashe is down almost 2K, but now Thanatos might find an angle here on the flank. Solar Flare doesn't hit Massu. FlyQuest disengaging. The bowling ball tag's inspired, but not a whole lot more. Bwipo's looking for maybe a pincer here, but thinks better of it. C9 walking as a very tight unit back towards that bottom side river, back towards that Drake pit. Daisy's going to lead the charge here for FlyQuest. She's soaking a lot of bullets, though. Jojo continuing to try to poke from the backside of the enemy jungle. Quad going to trade some shots back and forth with him. Daisy down to 700. Blaber ain't going to find a whole lot yet here with the blooming blows. There's a lot of damage under the Thanatos. Mom roars in. The bullet time is huge, and Quad is nearly dead. Jojo grabbing the first kill of the fight as he and Vulcan have to exit stage left. Bwipo's trying to tear him apart, and a shot down back over to the Croc as now Vulcan re-engages. They want inspired. They find him. Busio's going to be killed. Jojo and Vulcan the only 2 dead on C9 as Bwipo trying to go raid boss mode, but he can't find the angle here just yet. Blaber grabbing another one here on Busio. It's a 5 for 2, and C9 cut him down.
Cloud9 put FlyQuest to sleep. The multi-man ulti from Blaber comes through. They finish off the fight. Berserker was the key in this one. He is untouched the whole time. Jojo was able to give his life to kill off Quad. They couldn't get to Berserker ever through this one, and they bought that space. They bought that time. You see the combo used from Busio. You see that Bwipo was at a range. It's bullet time, baby. No one can get back to him.
And I really love what Vulcan did. He flashed to ensure he could stun just on the edge of that bullet time, ensure Quad is in it. That dragon was so close to getting out, but Vulcan committed to it. And then he goes back in to do the same thing on Inspired. He knows, that's my job as support. I'm the setup. He got both of them down and allowed Cloud9 to finish out this fight and claim their Dragon Soul. Everything this whole game was building towards that fight. I think we just saw the results of game number 1.
Oh, we might see another fight here.
Vulcan's taking a lot of damage here. It's Cloud9 went too far into enemy territory. The immediate punish on the support. Mom finds a little bit here on the continued fight as Berserker has to try to flash away, and Bwipo's ready to lock him down. A little bit more damage is all they need to do, and the shutdown goes back over to Bwipo. He dies in trade as Jojo gets the kill credit, and now Blaber's stuck in the middle of everybody. It's deer season. There's no way out of that one. 2 alive left on C9, and FlyQuest just found their entry back into game 1.
Why is it always right out of a replay? I'm like, oh, okay, so they got the soul, right? That's going to wrap up the rest of this one. No way! FlyQuest are back! They are still fighting. They get objective bounty shutdown on Baron, and they will turn that into another objective bounty shutdown. You have to think on the top tower. So this is going to be a huge slingshot for FlyQuest.
All right, let's see the setup on this. Vulcan's trying to play for some vision. He just goes way aggressive.
Yeah.
Looking for a pick onto Busio is way overextended. The rest of the Cloud9 team comes in to try to bail him out, but Vulcan is basically dead for free, and the fight starts in a 5v4 essentially with them fully on the run. And the slows are just too much. Busio is able to flash in, get a combo, and Cloud9 just kind of get ran over trying to bail Vulcan out from a really overzealous attempt on a pick that was on the enemy Alistar.
That's the part that perplexed me the most. I mean, it's Alistar. At most, you're going to, trade ulti for ulti? That was not ideal from Vulcan, and for Cloud9, all that building, all of that work, all of that momentum that you had prepared for the previous 25 minutes is now undone with FlyQuest having a Baron and 2.5 minutes still to use it.
I feel so bad because Vulcan just had such a good dragon fight and then goes right into that play, maybe too hyped up after getting the Dragon Soul. And now FlyQuest, really good situation for them to be able to bounce back in this one. Objective bounties are even still up, so they can try and push for another.
And the thing about taking that super early Dragon Soul, it's Elder Dragons from here on out, boys. We are 27 minutes into the game. And for FlyQuest, I feel like you're not really too sad about that, because now you always have the opportunity to play for that big objective, and it will spawn roughly 90 seconds after this Baron is done. FlyQuest should own the Rift for the next minute and a half.
Now it gets really hard, too, because the Ivern built the Mikhails. You know, Inspired got enough money off of that.
Oh, Busio immediately trying to go in there after Blaber, but now he's got to be careful. Unbreakable will required to stay alive and exit from that situation. Our supports are getting hyphy, boys.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of these situations where, especially as Cloud9, you now need to kind of calm down, reset. That was a big throw, but you're still in the lead, right? The Baron buff's going to expire. You still have soul. You still have more gold. You are in control of this game. So you need to collect yourselves. You need to say, all right, we messed that up. It's okay, and go back to the game plan here where FlyQuest, I think, want to thrive a little bit in that chaos, keep Cloud9 feeling nervous and feeling uncomfortable.
Ivern team fights, baby. Put up those brushes, constantly spamming out these shields, the heals that come through.
Oh, but Mom's roaring into the fight, and a bullet time forces FlyQuest back. Redemption from the Ivern to keep the health bars high enough to continue the fight. Quad flaps his wings going forward. Thanatos once again taken low but not taken down. FlyQuest removing the tier 1 turret from the Rift brings that gold lead back down to the 1,500 that it was stuck at for the first 15 minutes of the game.
It is insane that objective bounties are still active when they're only down the 1K, plus they still have the Baron right now. So much value is put on the Dragons by the system, and I mean, there's still objective bounties. They're going to get another objective bounty here if they take this tower.
We'll see if they can secure it. They did have to use quite a few tools, surviving the pushback from C9 there in the T1. So, all right, FlyQuest does not have what they need to continue pushing any further. 90 seconds until the Elder spawns.
And honestly, I actually favor FlyQuest now because they have the Mikhails to deny the Leona ult. And then you have such an advantage in sustained team fighting with the Ivern on your side, and Quad now finally has his rapid fire cannon. So I actually think the pendulum fully swung there on that invade towards the red buff that led into the Baron for FlyQuest. Now their team fighting is so good. Level 16 Smolder here rocking up with an elixir in inventory as well to an Elder Dragon. This setup is going to be very, very critical here, because if you get an early surprise start to the fight, you can just run over it in these late stages.
Absolutely, but at the same time, you know, Mikhails can only remove that one thing. If Blaber can find a multi-man sleep or one of those proper setups for a bullet time, they are still really strong. And late game Corki, this is level 16, 3.5 items, has the QSS. That poke is absolutely powerful.
You do have to respect those snot bubbles. From the
Respect the snot.
Yeah, that is.
You don't want that on you.
That is
That's
a
gross.
troublesome one. Yeah, that's real nasty.
Oh, sleep used.
Now let's see if they can get anything back. A bullet time ripping through Bwipo, but finally going to be interrupted. Bwipo staying alive from Steric's Gage, but C9's front line is way too far forward. Thanatos is already down. Vulcan will burn, and C9 runs for their lives. Quad still just free firing into the lines. A double kill back for the Smolder, and it's time for C9 to reconsider the way they're playing this game. A TP back into the mid lane from Quad as Berserker and Jojo will try to escape. Massu with the flash of the wall. He doesn't want to allow them to recall. Berserker and Jojo still trying to get away. Inspired locks him up. Massu guns him down. It's an ace for FlyQuest. A shutdown on Jojo, a shutdown on Berserker, and the front door's getting kicked in. C9 ran the show for 25 minutes, and then they lost it and never got it back. FlyQuest going straight for the throat. Thanatos is going to respawn in 5. Only Vulcan alive right now as Quad jumped on by Vulcan, trying to flap away from it. Thanatos back alive, trying to defend. Second Nexus turret, still hanging on somewhere, somehow, some way. All out coming out from Thanatos. 2 members of C9 make it 3, holding the line, stopping FlyQuest. The game,
They hold it!
on!
Go Elder! Go Elder now! Go Elder now! Now Cloud9 have the chance! They can rush to the Elder! They respawn! They defend the Nexus!
This game is getting crazy. It looked like it was going to be a smooth sailing for Cloud9, start to finish. They have a massive throw over by the Baron, and FlyQuest wins the team fight, almost ends the game, but the respawn's coming in the nick of time, and now Elder is grabbed by Cloud9. FlyQuest are going to be the ones on the back foot because Baron is up. You take Elder, you go to Baron, you grab that. You have both the super buffs here, and maybe Cloud9 can make a push to try to end the game.
For sure, double buffs here for C9. If they're able to collect as well on the Baron, that's going to be the extra advantage in these fights. You've got the execution for everybody. They may have Smolder on FlyQuest, but now all of C9 have Elder and will soon have Baron to boot. FlyQuest have some difficult defense in front of them.
What is a Smolder to 5 Smolders? 4 Smolders too little.
Cloud9 have 4 moms extra.
Cloud9 just an entire team of mom.
All right, I mean, this was really, really tight on the respawns. Honestly, you could tell that Bwipo wasn't going to be able to finish it off. It felt like they spent a lot of damage on the players, though,
That's why you
instead of actually hitting Nexus.
It's okay, guys. It's okay.
They It sounded like he said that's why we don't fight. I mean, I think they were just really hitting players too much. Like, Thanatos lost, I want to say, 2/3 of his health when he was respawning. I feel like people were probably spending damage on him instead of just focus firing the Nexus, thinking that the game was done.
Well, we are not done yet, my friends. Game number 1 of C9 versus FlyQuest is delivering. C9 still with that Drake Soul, still up 2,500 gold, still blessed with both super buffs for the next minute and a half. It will be the Elder that wears off first since it was taken first. And FlyQuest just has to dig in and defend those Ivern brush battle lines that you already talked about earlier, Kobe, that they were using offensively. Well, they are digging foxholes right now, just trying to make sure their opponents cannot break in.
Well, and here's the thing, though. Cloud9 isn't pushing multiple waves, so FlyQuest just has to really focus on clearing out this one wave mid.
Here we go. The brushes go up. They're going for the wave clear, using Mom, using everything, because you have to get through 2 more minion waves. Every 30 seconds here is going to tick down on this Elder. It's at 45. They still have a couple to deal with here. Cloud9 will get inside the base. They probably shouldn't be able to end on these double buffs. You know, the Elder will time out. And FlyQuest are thinking, just stay steady, because we do have pretty good team fighting still. You know, very good sustain with the Ivern. You saw it before, Flowers, like you're talking about, with the kiting back, being able to delay. But Cloud9, they know they want to press this to the maximum. 22 seconds left.
C9, this is their only chance to use the Elder to end the game. They recognize it and they want to go for it. Thanatos, 2/3 HP. He's looking to go all in and all out. Bwipo jumps in to find a quick burst of damage onto Blaber, but they ain't going to kill nobody off just yet until Berserker claims Massu. C9 still 5 alive as the enemy bot lane is taken out of the picture, and Bwipo jumps back in for a nice Ruthless Predator. A double kill back over to Quad. It's 2 dead on C9. Bwipo burns away. C9 still scrambling to try to end this game, but Quad does not want to let him get away with it. Thanatos tries to jump back in the path, making it get himself right back out. Quad is ducking and diving between the brushes, trying to stay alive. Oh! Berserker takes him down. C9 secures game 1.
Banger! That game went from 0 to 100 real quick.
Oh my God, what a crazy finish to that one. From it looking like Cloud9 gonna take it in a slow macro game to almost throwing it. FlyQuest probably should have had that on the Nexus push. Probably should have been able to focus on the Nexus and kill it off. They aren't able to do so. Cloud9 take both super buffs, push in. Quad barely can't hold because Berserker heals back up with that Bloodthirster, goes in, finishes him off, and claims game number 1.
Damn, that was a close game of League of Legends.
Man, that is one of those games where you feel so frustrated if you lose, because both teams, you know, whichever team lost knows that they could have had it, knows that they could have changed one little thing. I think FlyQuest is just going to be thinking about hitting that Nexus.
Reminder to all you LCS fans out there, next week we will be live on Friday, Saturday,